So 1918. This is a timeline, a 1918 timeline on the Bolsheviks and the Ukraine. So I'm just going to read a bunch of dates and facts and names and figures and what have you. First, we're going to look at this image, though. This is Mikhailo Hrushevsky. Mikhailo Hrushevsky. Now, he's important because you're going to have the Ukraine, the Central Rada. These socialists went ahead and established an independent Ukraine, and then the Bolsheviks are going to kick these socialists out because they want to take the Ukraine for themselves. So March 17th, 1917, the Central Rada begins with this guy, Chairman Mikhailo Hrushevsky. Mikhailo Hrushevsky. So he's the one that starts the, Central Rada. He says, now Ukraine is for Ukrainian. We see what's going on in Russia. We don't like it. We think it's illegal. We're going to go ahead and establish our own state. So they have a war for independence. So when you have Candy Oinkins sitting there saying that, Ukraine was just created in 1991, she don't know what she's talking about. So March 17th, 1917, the Central Rada begins. April 6th, 1917, this is when the U.S. enters into World War I. April 6th, 1917, after a year-long effort by President Woodrow Wilson to get the United States into war, he finally is successful. The Senate voted for it, then the House voted for it, and now we're going to war. July 1917, you have 822 seats. This Central Rada isn't a small thing. Chairman Mikhailo Hrushevsky, July 1917. By the end of July 1917, the Central Rada formally had 822 deputies, according to Pavlo Chrystiuk. Its members, Chrystiuk. Its members belong to the following parties. These are all the parties, okay? These are all the parties. The Bolsheviks are saying that they're better than. They're going to forcefully take power and fuck all these other people who think that they, have different ideas about this and that. Nah, fuck them all. The All-Ukrainian Peasants Deputy Council. The All-Ukrainian Peasants, the All-Ukrainian Military Deputies Council. The All-Ukrainian Workers Deputies Council. This is the same shit that the Bolsheviks were doing, the peasants and the military and the workers, right? So the peasants, you had 212 representatives for the peasants. For the military, 158 representatives for the military. For the workers, 100 representatives for the military. You also had representatives for the non-Ukrainian workers and military deputies councils. 50 of them. So you even had people that weren't Ukrainian, right? So this is the Central Rada, the Ukrainian Socialist parties. You had 20. So you had 20 socialists, Russian socialists, 40, but you had those, all Ukrainian peasants council, all Ukrainian military council, all Ukrainian workers council. That sounds socialist to me. You also had a Jewish Socialist Party, the Far-Ray Niktes Bundist Poale Zionist. You had 35 of those. Polish Socialist Party, you had 15. Representatives of cities and gubernias, 84. Representatives of professional, educational, economic, and public organizations and other national minorities, 108. So you got peasants and military people. You got workers. You got Jewish folks. You got Ukrainian socialists. You got Russian socialists. You got non-Ukrainian workers and military folks. You got representatives of the cities and the gubernias. And you got representatives of the professional, educational, economic, and public organizations and other national minorities, 108. In total, you got 122 representatives in the Central Rada. 822. We got 435 in the goddamn House of Representatives. 822. That means there's more representation in Central Rada in 1917 in Ukraine than what a typical American has today. 822 deputies. The Central Rada is going to, it's going to last for a while. We'll just say that. October 12th, 1917, the Central Rada passed the fundamental laws on elections. to the Constituent Assembly. It also instructed the Minor Rada to confirm the laws and organize the elections. Chairman, this is Mikhailo Hrushevsky. Oh, the man with the big old beard. November 20th, 1917, the Third Universal, the Central Rada, designated January 9th as Election Day, while the first convention assembly was scheduled to take place January 22. And the appointed head of the Electoral Commission was M. Morose. November 25th, 1917, the election of the Constituent Assembly was held November 25th, 1917. November 12th, old style, the Socialist Revolutionary Party, though only receiving a plurality of the vote, 40%, they won a majority of the seats. The Bolsheviks received a little less than 25% of the vote. Other parties won small number of delegates. The Bolsheviks and their allies, the left socialist revolutionaries, argued that this mandate was not valid, and the Soviets, where they were in control, were more accurate, that accurately reflected the public will. So that's convenient. The Bolsheviks are like, this Constituent Assembly didn't mean anything. The people that participated in it said that they were going to be the, main opposition bloc, they might be, they're 25%, so 40%, 25%. They're going to be a part of the fucking government, but that wasn't good enough for fucking Lenin and them. Nah, I think Lenin and fucking Stalin and Trotsky, they fucked this whole thing up. Could you imagine if those three men could have got along together? They could have ran, some sort of trifecta, some sort of triumvirate. Have a sharing of power. One's executive, one's legislative, one's judicial. Something, fuck. Three men, they couldn't even get along. Three fucking guys, and that's why you got all the problems that you got today. Man, this communist revolution could have been so much fucking better if they would have adhered to the Constituent Assembly. For instance, November 25th, 1917, the election of the Constituent Assembly was held November 25th, 1917. The Socialist Revolutionary Party, I already mentioned this, they won 40%. Bolsheviks won little less than 25%. But the Bolsheviks are like, we're not going to recognize, and then December 25th, 1917, Soviet Ukraine is established. So that doesn't bode well. Wait a second. We got the Central Rada. We've already established the Central Rada earlier in the year. We established the Central Rada in March 17th, 1917 is when we established the Central Rada, and we got 822 deputies. We already got ourselves a representation. Who the fuck is Soviet Ukraine is established on Christmas Day, 1917? Fuck. That doesn't sound good for Ukraine at all. That sounds like the Bolsheviks are going to kill a bunch of socialists just to take over the state of Ukraine. Bolsheviks are fighting for liberation of Ukraine against Western and Central Europe, including the Polish Republic. Ukrainian nationalists are fighting for independence of Ukraine against the Bolsheviks. In 1918, there were two Soviet Ukraine governments, one German occupation. Also in 1918, man, this dog is pissing me off. I'm going to take a break. So I've done the beginning of 1917. I can't think. I can't fucking think. It's barking at other dogs right now. Tie these dogs up. If they're tied up, it'd be better. Yeah, it's awful, dog. I hear you. You're barking at nothing.